To talk about your experience with FMRE. So before we get started and talk about your experience with FMRE, I really wanted to first gather your background, so our audience would probably know that as well. So you live in Melbourne, in Southeast, of course, and you engaged us for buying an investment property for you nearly 3.5 years ago. So, but in terms of actually, how long you've been in Melbourne, what do you do for work? And why did you choose to engage a buyer agent?
Yeah. So my name is Shailesh. I've been in Melbourne for last 14 years almost. I work in the IT sector. So me and my wife both in IT sectors. So Anubhav, his referral came to me from one of my close friends, and when I was just discussing about the investment property, but I was struggling to find a appropriate property for myself within my budget limit, and that is when the discussion led to this FMRE, and that's when I met Anubhav. So the experience with the team is that they were able to find me a property which was well within my budget, and it ticked all the things that I had in my mind. And another thing that earlier my scope was limited to Victoria only, but thanks to the team that I got exposure to the wider area across Australia, not just limited to Victoria per se. So that has increased my it allowed me to have more opportunities to do shopping around, and they found me a very good property somewhere north of Brisbane, and I'm quite happy with the purchase I have done. The property that I purchased was about 400,000, and currently it is running about 570, 580, which is like 70% growth in that. It's quite significant. I'm not staying there, of course, but currently the property has been on rent since on the first day itself. The rent started from 470. It kept on going. Currently, it is around 490, and I'm hoping to get it increased around 420 by the mid of next year. So quite happy with the way things have developed. As I said before, I was never exposed to the other properties outside of Victoria, but thanks to FMRE, I was able to do that.
Awesome. So Shailesh, I know that when you initially engaged us, and I recall this conversation during a strategy session as well, you were very apprehensive, or maybe looking at, yes, you want to go outside, but the fear of buying something interstate whilst you're in Melbourne without even having seen the property or go there. How did that go with you?
That is a very big thing, actually. Like coming from Indian background, we really want to think first, touch the things first before we put the money on it. And so even also in wherever we want to go around for an auction or something, we go have a look at the house, make sure the structure is sound and everything. That fear was definitely there if I'm buying a property which is way far from Victoria, and then you just have to rely on the team to get the proper details of the house, how sound the system is, how sound the structure is. One of the region where my property is actually prone to floods, so the team was quite helpful in getting the flood report and making sure that the property was impacted by that area. So that kind of effort the team has done for me, and I'm really grateful for that, because if I had not done the due diligence, then I would have spent some money, and then other natural impacts would have been a very big disaster for me.
So can we actually safely say that you've actually had a very good remote experience with us managing all the third parties and ensuring you actually really enjoy the armchair service whilst we did all the heavy lifting for you?
Purchase-wise, definitely, I'm very happy. I just sitting from my office room here. I did a purchase in the Queensland area. Definitely, the help was there. It's just that when the transition happened to the rental market, that sometimes I fear if I could have there, it would make it better. But no, currently I found a very good agency there as well, which take care of my rental agreement. So I'm happy with that as well. That fear is reduced.
Amazing. So just to sort of summarize the property itself. So basically, it is on a big stumps and it's on a height. In Queensland, you have these sort of properties which are high set properties on big stumps. What were your thoughts around that foundation aspect of it? How comfortable were you with that?
One thing I noticed in that in Australia, the older properties are quite robust. They are much stronger compared to the new properties. The area, that's where if I look at the other properties in the same area, but like my property, they are something similar, like building like on the stumps. It's a bit apprehensive, but it is what it is. Definitely, they have used the space nicely. I got a big garage there, a big playground there as well. So that fear of like staying on the house in the stump is not really concern for me. It's structurally sound. As I said, when I was dealing this property, I received a lot of structural report of the house, and that made me confident that there is nothing wrong with the house.
So although the property is very old in terms of the age, I think it is built in 1940s or 50s, if I'm not wrong.
It is very old. There are definitely, there are some wear and tears, but not something significant. Thank God so far with the house. So yeah. As I said, the older houses they were built very strongly. They have used strong material, and the property is quite stable at the moment.
Yeah, so holding it for 3.5 years, obviously you've gone through that experience of, multi-year to see the maintenance and everything else that comes through, which is parcel of any property. Most people get really, fearful that if I buy too old, it might give us a lot of maintenance. It can happen in some cases, but luckily, of course, your building report was really good. Everything was good. So structurally, the property is very sound, and that has allowed for your tenants to continue to stay. I know you have a changeover of tenancy, but how difficult was it to actually get a tenant in the property after settlement?
I was lucky. I got the tenants straight away, actually. But just to add on that, right, the fear, that is where I guess the buyer agent comes into picture. If you have such kind of worries, then dealing with a good agent is quite important. I have a very good experience with the team, so I was lucky on that one. So definitely, if somebody is buying a property, off like far from your place, make sure you engage the right buyer person, and that will help you. And make sure that you read all the report that you get, and then make a decision on top of it. For the tenant, from the first day itself, the tenant is there. I have been lucky that the tenant has been like, I get new tenants very easily. The property has not been vacant for more than say 15 or 20 days.
Not more than 15 or 20 days in the last 3.5 years.
Correct.
Wow, that's amazing, isn't it? So very low vacancy rates that you have actually experienced. And these are the things that people get very fearful. How do I approach any area by myself? You might have all the data at hand, but the on-ground experience is missing, right? So consequently, if a buyer agents like us, and especially with our experience that we carry, we're able to give you that confidence up front, whether it's the age of the building, whether it is to do with the actual local trades that we can bring onto the property, or even for that matter, to give you confidence that, look, this is where it's going to go. I'm pretty sure when you signed up with us back in, I think May, or probably April 2022, the fee that comes along to you at the very first hit is like, okay, it's heavy investment into a buyer agent. How do you feel that fee against value right now? What's your take on that?
As I said, before committing to the fee, when I had a very good discussion with you, you try to get what are my requirements, and then you came back with a proper solution that, okay, I have a solution for you, and if you want to proceed, then we take a step forward. It's not that just the commitment happened on the first lesson. So I got the confidence while talking with you that I made the right decision, selecting this buyer agent, and that has following conversation, it grew, like confidence built up, and then I signed up. Yes, the fee looks significant investment, but if you're buying a property, you're investing in the property, definitely it all adds up. But you're looking for I was looking for a long-term kind of investment, so that really helped me, to buy a good property.
Yeah, absolutely. And the results, right? 400K property in 3.5 years, we are talking 675K. That's a absolutely massive 275K added in equity in just 3.5 years, right? Absolutely. And you and I live. Do you think you've seen that type of growth in your area in the last 3 years or 3.5 years?
Unfortunately, Victoria market is not growing that compared to what my property is growing. So definitely there is a good growth on the north, like the northern Australia, like Queensland area. Victoria is, I think it has reached to a saturation point where it is that kind of growth is, I think it's a bit hard to achieve.
It will come. We've only had political situations in India over the last 3 years. That's why we moved a lot of clients in 2022 to out of Victoria and buying in the right area so you can make money in the right time.
Yeah.
Especially, I think your example is perfect because you came to me at the time when, in Victoria, there was change in politicians, there was change in leadership in the politics, and they announced few things that was not going to serve well for Victoria, which we had a very early indication and we picked up. And we said, okay, we have to move out of Victoria and not buy anymore. So that basically has really served well because the last 3 years, Victoria is flat, right? And whereas now in these 3 years, you've capitalized on nearly 275K, which otherwise would be almost sitting flat if you bought something on your own or even through us. The market would not have moved if you pushed on Victoria, against what we would have recommended to you.
I took a chance to go out of Victoria. As I said, like initial application was there. Should I go to South Australia? Should I go to Queensland? But when I overcome that fear and now when I see the numbers, I think I made the right decision.
Absolutely. So congratulations to you for taking that step and so confidently coming and talking about your results after 3.5 years. Of course, it was towards the fag end of COVID. There's a bit of COVID growth in there as well. But even right now, that area is still growing and continue to keep growing as well. There's enough fuel still left in the area for it to keep fueling further. So we are still holding the property. We're not settling just yet. But what plan? What's next for you?
I might engage the team for another property, but it is a thought in process at the moment. Let's see how it goes.
Sure. So would you recommend your friends or family also to go with a good experienced buyers advocacy?
But the positive experience with FMRE, so definitely I will become a full-hearted.
Thank you so much, Shailesh. And it's such a pleasure to actually host you today to collect this testimonial because it means a lot to us. And valued clients like yourself who come back to us again and again, who we build portfolios for, it's incredible to keep serving, gives us the energy to keep rejuvenating ourselves and look at new challenges in the market and find those golden nuggets that we can get you and add that to your portfolio. But thank you so much for today.
Thank you so much, Avis.
Thank you.